I'm Maurizio Andolfi. I'm 82 years old. I've been in the field for about 55 and more. I was a child psychiatrist background. Then I became a family therapist. And basically, I've been traveling all over the world, mostly meeting people and consulting families in need in many different countries. This has been the most rich experience for me because by doing consultation, I was going to know about their culture, religion, value, political system, etc., from basically any part of the world. I run a big institution in Rome called Family Therapy Academy in English, and it's been for 34 years on. And I am a very strange director because I direct this from another side of the world because I live in Australia, in Western Australia, from the last 13 years. So I come every summer, like now, for 2 or 3 months. I do many workshops, I take care of the academia, and I see my family, part of my family who lives here, lives in Rome, in Italy. So I'm originally Italian from Rome, and I'm a citizen, an Australian citizen, so I experience on my own skin the process of migration. In terms of EFTA, I've been one of the founder members. Moni and myself have been working in New York together. When we came back in Europe in the 70s, we decided to do something in Europe. So we started with the European network for a number of years. Then in 1999 was founded the EFTA. And I ran the first international conference of EFTA in Sorrento, Italy, just 2 years after, on the topic of feeling and systems. The idea was how to give back feelings to system and to therapists. Actually, I invented it more recently. Besides books, we have a multimedia library at the academia, and we produce at least 20 videos, clinical and lectures in many different languages, because I found that through the images, people can learn more about this work. I've been trying to convince family therapists that when we say family, we mean adults and kids. And it's not enough to work with adults in order to help kids. We can work with kids as well, and kids can help adults even more than adults help kids. So I've been promoting children, the idea that children are not just coming because they are problematic. They are coming because they are human beings, they are very complete, they are full of competence about their families. So I utilize their competence and they guide me inside the most complicated issues that are always the issue among adult parents, a couple, family of origin. So in a way, I found that through the child, I could reach the wounds of the people, and then to allow for family transformation.
I don't know if I can say your model, because I know your position about model, but I learned with you, and a lot of therapists learn with you, the 3-generational model. So don't think only children, parents, think children, parents, origin family, grandparents, and more maybe, because you can't see the verticality of what happens for children.
Yeah, that's the best way to reach the most deep issue of families. Plus, especially when we work with migrant people, if you don't go back to the roots, to the place where they left part of the family, the ancestors, and I think we Westerners are becoming too wealthy in a way, but also very much detached from our own roots in terms of connection with family of origin. Sometimes they are cut off, etc. While other cultures that we consider less happy or less advanced than us, they honor the ancestor, they have rituals in which they make the older people being really the most important guy for them. You know, in Africa, they say that a grandparent is like a living library. So now we don't consider old people live in library anymore, because if they don't work, they are a piece of junk, boy. So that's too bad. So I honor children. I also honor the whole development of feminists, their roots. I'm old enough to feel free to say what I feel I want to say. I found in these days here, it's a huge crowd, very nice, interest, curious therapists from all over the world. But there is an elephant in the room, and no one wants to see the elephant. And the elephant is the reality today, not the abstraction about our theories or about our family, nice family work, which is good, but it's out of what's happening in the world. So when I was mentioning the shooting of Gaza, be the sign of us losing humanity, I'm not going to take side. I'm going to say such a sad reality that has nothing to do with any religion. There is no religion in the world that would like to see children killed in quantities. No religion allowed that. So there is nothing anti-Semitic in saying that this horrible thing that is happening to the Palestinian people is something that we, human beings, has to try to stop. And apparently, our leaders, the leaders of the world, the ones that run the world, they are animated by other interests who are always the same: economical power, money, possession. And many people have been oppressed for very long. So my wish will be that EFTA RELATES will take a position, will declare something. I think they are not going to declare anything, because Europe now is the worst place in the world, because there is no voice, united voice from Europe say, stop that. It's not possible. Maybe some countries are more active, but this is not Europe. So I think that as Europeans, we cannot just keep just silent and passive, because we are afraid of the people with the power. And also professionals to become more social activators. I ran a conference in June in Rome called War and Forced Migrations. We invited a responsible guy from mental health program in Gaza. Can you imagine what does it mean, mental health program in Gaza? Still, this guy is in charge. There is another guy, Mustafa Kosowski, who studied at Sapienza at Rome with me. He's a Palestinian, Israeli guy, he's a poet, and he's a therapist. He was there. There were people from Ukraine, people from other parts of Europe, like Greece, Italy, other countries, Morocco. They work a lot with migrants, So in a way, I think we cannot be philosophers talking abstraction. We have such an incredible good language. I think systemic theory is a great way to look at reality, but then you have to move in the reality, not just to stay on the theory. And the reality to say is to become active and to denounce what is happening. And I think this is important in the field. We cannot just people that work in a room with the family. We have to take the door open to what is outside. And in Assisi, 2 years ago, we ran a big conference with more or less similar sites from all over the world. We ran a manifesto, say that family has to be honored all over the world, and that we were against any kind of violence and war and oppression. So my final message is, we cannot keep silent. Probably our association, in a way or another, has to define themselves, and not just to play on politically correctness, which basically means to be hypocritic.
Where does come from this
Skills, this sensitivity?
Yes. Well, yes. Where does it come from?
Oh, they come from my background. I was a child psychiatrist. I did child psychiatry. At that time, especially, everything was based on us, psychiatrists, make diagnosis, every psychology to do some testing, and then to put the level on the child. And play therapy was a way to understand the child one-to-one. So I start to, just as an experiment, to invite mothers in from the waiting room. I say, let's play together. Then I ask, where is dad? Of course, I never asked to mom to invite the husband because then will become complicated. I asked the child, why you don't bring to me your father? Then, what about the siblings? Mother would say, the other kids are well, are fine. They're at school. I say, I'm not interested to the part of the family who was ill. I'm interested to the family. So the sibling will come. So it was an experiment. I paid a big price for that. What was the price? I left the department of psychiatry because my idea were revolutionary and they couldn't fit in the model, which doesn't mean my work was almost common sense. Then I learned that we don't own the truth, we don't own the competence. We have to gain some competence. They bring the competence, even when they are problematic. So that was my beginning. Then I think I always loved children, and I brought the children with me all over. Then I found the trick, which is the best way to have big, rigid parents to open up, to please their kids. If I please your kids, you like me, because I consider your kids relevant, beautiful, magic, competent. So that was my access to the adults. And take off labels. And do you know how many labels now invented for children? More and more labels. Insurance company need labels to repay the treatment, plus medication and medication. So it's an abuse of power that we act. It's an abuse of our power. Then there is another point, which I say all the time. We don't only care about families, we have to love them. And you cannot love rigid fathers who are very distant, but you can love that people through their children, because children are always very lovable. Sometimes I see impossible couple, I say, bring the kids in. I think they are monsters. They're just these horrible parents who fight all the time. You expect monsters. They are two fantastic kids. Then you say, how do you produce these fantastic kids and you are doing all these horrible things among yourself? So I think our field is very different from other things where we are just fixing things, like engineering or architectural things, or mathematics. They are more important things, but we don't fix people. We have to learn from people. The other point that helped me was moving out from medical description to social science. Social science means psychology, art, spirituality, history, tradition. So all these kind of things are so close to people. When you want to know to people, you want to know about food, where they come from, the culture, the tradition, the rituals. That's life. So I try to grow by work with the people that I don't know. Last time I was in Shanghai just a few months ago. I'm now going very often in the Asian countries. You don't understand anything because it's so different, the language. I brought a big map. China is very big. There were 3 sets of grandparents, parents, and children. One boy was suicidal. And I stayed 10 minutes with this map, asking them to show me where their grandparents came from. So the boy started to try to figure out, he couldn't find. The younger boy came in and tried. Father tried, mother tried. Then at the end, the 2 old people, very simple people, they came, they indicate the map exactly the village where everybody were happy. And they felt one thing, this guy that comes from another planet care about us. this person cares about us because he's been spending 10 minutes to figure out where we are from. This is a little example of curiosity, interest for people. It's not just fixing the problem of adolescence. I always say in therapy, the big problem are not the families in treatment, are the therapists, which is a paradox. But it's also true because therapists do that for professional reason, for making their salary, for growing their scale of professionalism. And you have to help them to take off this mask and to be human beings with some competence, to meet in families and to be real. This passage is so difficult, especially for doctors, psychiatrists, but psychologists as well. Now, as you remember, one of our work was work on the wounds of therapists. Therapists come, number of therapists have been seen through years in different language, different context. 40, 50 years old, big position in their society, in their institutional work. They were coming there to be helped, not at for the present issue. Going back when I was 10, it was going on in my family. My father died, or my parents split, or we had to migrate, or have something, or I had to take care of 5 brothers and sisters because my father was an alcoholist or whatever. So people were able, in a safe context, to go back to their childhood because it's always the childhood is the critical time. Adolescent, but starting from childhood. Then I will ask them, let's make a sculpture. How old do you want to be? He's 45. He say 7. So we make a sculpture of this guy when he was 7. If something was happening when he or she was 7. So after this experience, people transform also because there is a big group component, because they transform. Sometimes I even scare because I've been in analysis for years. After this work of 2 hours, I transform more than so many years in one-to-one. So I think there is something powerful in the process of transformation, but we have to be able to open up and to go where still the wounds are open. Then, if therapists can make this jump, they become fantastic human beings and they become totally different therapists because then they appreciate what happened to other children.
One of my students, young students, said it's wonderful what Mr. Andolfi doing, but how he can do that in one time? He just came one time and something really changed in the systemic therapy system. And you have show us yesterday the movie and the follow-up 1 year later. So you have you do one intervention, and then and the mother said, "Is I remember, it's like quite a miracle what's happened for one session." Could you say something about that?
It's not always so miracle thing, because if you see, there are a couple of videos that I made, one with 2 French, one boy, one girl. One is Thomas, called Thomas, the King of Normandy. Thomas, when I met when he was 22 the first time, with his French therapist. And he has been spending half of his life in mental hospital here in France, half, in and out, only child. And you may think this is a chronic patient, no? Then we start to work, we start to change the description. I consider him like a very smart, intelligent boy. I start to ask him, tell me something positive in your life. He couldn't say that because nobody ever asked him to say something positive. He was like a psychiatric lab of kids, forever. So to make short the story, After 2 or 3 years, he changed, he transformed. He left hospital. He started to have a place of his own. I met the parents a few more times. We became even friends on Facebook. And this boy now has a job in Rouen, and he has a very nice life. And the parents finally can enjoy their whole life because they were completely, they never had a weekend in their life before because of that. So when you see that was another miracle. I need a few years to work. Well, there is another one more recent called Agathe. She has been, I can say this thing because I've been this video available, so they give permission. She'd been abused by the grandfather for a long time. She was critical, suicidal, eating disorder, big name, mental hospital. Then finally things start to change. She felt nobody loved me. We made a meeting. She said, Agathe, can you invite all the people that love you, that care for you? There was a period of COVID. So 40 people joined from family, from the institution where she was. So we have this kind of big pictures. And everybody wants to say something to help her out. Now, she transformed, even after this meeting, she still needs time to process an ambition. Now she's a fantastic young woman with an incredible strength. Because when people can pass through this experience and to be able to overcome them, they have become much stronger than me and you together, you know? So she said, that's what the pleasure of this work, to see people to transform. And you are influential in them, and they make the point. The 40 people made the change. It was not just me. I was activated something. So I feel important, also I feel not so important as them in the process of healing. I would like to catalyze more resources to make us to become more political in terms of taking more risk and to denounce things, to, in our own way, to use our expertise, our theories, to stop wars, to make more peace, and to avoid massacre as they're happening now. I don't feel I can sleep well every night, you know, what's happening. It's almost like my kids. It's a dozen of kids every day. The number of kids has been now sent to the hospital in Rome. The condition in which these children from Palestine came to are just unbelievable. And they say we never saw anything like that so far. So we have been reaching a no-return situation. So I feel the urgency. So if even through the video, I can help to catalyze something, you know, because I think we have to become more courageous and not to use fear. You know, fear is the word, the most dramatic thing. You know, all the rightist government win for the fear. What's the fear? Of the unknown danger of migrants coming next to your door. We have been stealing everything from Africa in our period of colonization that never stopped. Everything has been stolen. This is a country who is dying. Then we pretend that you want to keep all our goods upstairs. If they try and they die on the way to come here, we consider them an intrusion, bad people that want to rob us. We have been robbed then for centuries, but we don't have any feeling of guilt. We feel that now we own our things, our safety, protection thing. So I think we have to reconsider who we are as Europeans. And I'm Europeans, even though I live in Australia now, but I feel somehow part of this reality. So I'm not personally feeling guilty. I'm also, at the same time, I know that I'm part of the oppression. And we have to recognize that, you know?